This is Grimm Grinner on all channels. He started compiling stories and reports from out in the waste into what he calls the new histories.
Hello Wastelanders, and welcome. So thanks to our recent trip to visit RG, known as the Historian, I now have a small collection of files and notebooks that he's been keeping catalogued over the past few years, chronicling what he calls the new histories. These files and accounts are keeping track of various groups, events, and rumors that have taken shape in the waste since the fall. So, in the spirit of this broadcast, I'm going to try and take time whenever possible to read these out as best as I can over the airwaves so that more people out there can hear the news from our corner of the wastes. And I guess that's it for the preamble, so here we go. The new histories. Front Street Leafers. The Front Street Leafers are a raider gang formed sometime after the fall within the GAT. Originally a group of players in an old world sport known as hockey, they took their equipment and left the confines of the Tor district before the corporations had fully established power enough to section off the regions. Pulling their name from a blend of the old stadium location and the team they played for, the Leafers began terrorizing the smaller encampments they discovered on their way north. Witness reports recount them coming into a camp wearing tattered jerseys over padded armor, wielding bladed boots and enforced hockey sticks. They would raid camps for supplies, sometimes offering the stronger fighters a chance to join them. Those who refused were dispatched, and the remainder were put in the penalty box, a cage they wheeled along. Very few accounts remain of whether the people captured were enslaved or used in other ways. In recent years, it's believed that they are enslaved with the intent to try and induce a Stockholm Syndrome effect. One report claimed this and went on to state that the person involved began to enjoy being used as a sort of lure for the Leafers to capture wastelanders on the roads. However, this report cannot yet be confirmed. After getting further north, the Leafers set up in an old abandoned town, fortifying some of the buildings and creating a primary base within the local arena known as the Rink. Word out of the armory recalls a small settlement nearby housing an electrical engineer who was taken on their way through. It's believed the engineer was kept alive and brought with them to help get power running to the cooling systems for the Rink. And right here there's a date I can't make out, but it's a report from Mama Coog. Captured a Leafer scouting the forest near Burblack. Kept him for a talk, asked him about hockey as a test to see how far the Leafers have fallen. Apparently they've all but forgotten the actual game their group is based off of. Leafers seem to have created a new chemical drug referred to as tape. A combination of the chemical agents used in the ice rink along with various hallucinogens, eventually mixed with an adhesive. This chemical compound is then applied to fabric strips, not unlike traditional hockey tape, and then wrapped around their wrists as well as their weaponized hockey sticks. The chems are then absorbed through the skin contact over time, resulting in aggressive and violent outbursts. Overuse of tape has resulted in most Leafers becoming almost incoherent to those outside their camps. Despite the drug use and rampant violence, the group does follow a sort of hierarchical structure, with the coach at the top, followed by captains, forwards, defense, and goals. From there, numbers are used to assign rank amongst those categories, with the exception being the leader of them all, the coach. Side note, despite the fact that some Wastelanders go by a title alongside whatever their name is, the coach is a role within the structure of the Leafers. It is rumored that this role has been held by several different members of the group, including a few instances of there being two people referred to with that title. In recent years, Leafers have been spotted as far south as the borders of the GAT, leading some to suspect that they have started expanding out, potentially setting up smaller teams or camps. There are occasional raids against settlements, with the raiders wanting to take over locations they believe will be good spots to create more tape. It is not known if there is any sort of religious or spiritual belief amongst the Front Street Leafers, as very few Wastelanders have entered their camps or spoken with a sober member for long enough to gather any information on the topic. There have been comments heard from smaller attacks referring to the Great One, which would imply that they do have some sort of deity or person they hold in high regard, but who it is may not even be known to the Leafers themselves at this point. And And that's that for now. There's some small notes here about smaller attacks on camps and settlements, but most of them are in a subsection which even RG said wasn't as important to transmit out, as they don't really add to the history of these documents. I'm going to dig through a few more of these files, see what we can put together for you Wastelanders. I'll be putting this transmission out on a different frequency, on a scheduled loop, so I can broadcast it to as many people as possible. Anyone out there, if you've got recording equipment, definitely keep a copy of this. Write it down if you can. Let's keep history alive out there, shall we? This has been Grimm Grinner on all channels. See you in the wastes. Welcome to The Wastes is a Wasteland podcast brought to you by Edward Grimm Grinner Hutchinson. Feel free to follow me on all social media and make sure to subscribe so you can hear new episodes as they release. If you like what I do here and want to support the podcast by getting some cool merch, check out my Etsy store. For more information and all the links, check out linktree.com/welcome to the wastes. Thanks for listening.